Okay, that actually was not all of 3.1, but we've already done these problems together. Now let's just look through this little sheet they've got you trying to fill in whether or not these problems can be any of these things. Complete the chart by using each property on the given expression. And if it can't be used, write no. Okay, so you should have your book out, and you should be filling these in without don't just look at my answer. Kind of try to think about it yourself. You might even want to pause it because we've done enough of these to where you should be getting comfortable and try to do it yourself. So the first one, 15 times 76. Well, there's two numbers there. We can't do distributive because we kind of need some parentheses and stuff to distribute, or we can't do, was it associative? Yeah, that had the other parentheses to talk to each other and associate. So this one we can really just make them commute somewhere different. We can switch places, essentially. So on commutative, I wrote this very lightly, but you can put the 76 in front and do 76 times 15. It will work out the same thing, the same way. Associative, no, it's not gonna, there's not much to reassociate and not much to redistribute, so no and no. This one is, okay, we've got something to kind of work with here. We do have different signs being used, and I remember associative was the one, and look back if you don't remember, but associative was the one that said they all have to be doing the same operation. They all have to have the same sign. So this one's not going to be associative. I already know that. So I would write a no in there, and I wrote in my notes to all must be same sign. There we go. It's not associative. Commutative. Can we switch? Yeah, we could put the 3 plus 1, just keep it in parentheses, and then times the 7. We could just kind of reverse that order, treating this like it's just kind of like one number. Okay, so we'll put 3 plus 1 times 7. Okay, now can it be distributive? Let's look at it. Well, actually, yes. It threw me off at first because I'm used to seeing it right next door, which is all that means. When you've got something in parentheses, you don't even need to write times right there, because that means times. 7 times 3 plus 1. And yes, we can distribute that. The 7 can multiply to the 3, and it can also multiply to the 1. And we will leave this sign as the spacer. So in our distributive section, okay, yeah, I've already written that, but I'll write it a little darker. We will write 7 times 3, okay, keep the sign that was already there in the parentheses, plus 7 times 1, and that's it. Okay, for this last one, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, you can commute these everywhere. So commutative could be 8 times 3 times 4, or 4 times 8 times 3, or just write it whatever you want. I don't think they need you to write it several ways, but there are several ways it could be written. Hopefully they don't. Associative. Can they reassociate? Well, there really wasn't any. Well, you could add up parentheses, I guess. Like you could do like that, 3 times 8, and work that one out first, times 4. Or it could be like, 4 times 3. I don't know why I wrote it like that. 4 times 3 times 8. Sorry, I should be writing this in the associative, so you don't think that's. It could be like 4 times 3 times 8. Because the thing with times, I mean, that already means times. That already means times. Like you could work these out or not. It makes no difference when you put parentheses like that. It's just really just an exercise. Parentheses are there for like those really big problems where you need to add something before you multiply or divide, or to really keep us organized. This is just testing you to see if you know whether it makes a difference and what it's called, which probably won't be thinking too much about these later on, but for right now it's good to know them so that you comprehend your exam questions and all of this. So yeah, there's your associative, one of your answers for associative. I don't think it matters that I know it doesn't change the answer, so I just associated them. Distributive, You know, distributive is really just for when you're kind of mixing the signs. Really, it seemed like that's all it did. So distributive, I don't think applies. We'll look back real quick just to see. Distributive. The examples I'm seeing, yeah, are when there's something being multiplied to something being added right there in parentheses. The distributive, oh look, let's see. The distributive property cannot be used when multiplication or division. Ooh, that's nice to remember that. I would maybe highlight that or circle that in your book because it makes sense. Let's work it out and prove that to ourselves, because if you worked this out in here, that would be 12, and that would be 3 times 12. And they're saying it's not equal. Well, let's find out if it really isn't equal. This one would be 9, and this one would be 12. Oh, whoa. Is 3 times 12 equal to 9 times 12? No. So definitely we have proven to ourselves you can't distribute stuff like boom to boom. You can't do that if it's not a plus or minus. You can't do that with multiplication. So that's good to be reminded of. It's always good to test it. If you're not sure, test it. Okay, now we can start on 3.2.